Greetings everyone and welcome back. Today I'm coming to you from Sweetland in South Manchester, Jamaica, West Indies. Today I will be giving you a tour of my birthplace. This is where I grew up with my grandmother, Miss Biggie. Here we're looking at some gungo peas. Here you can see the green ones, and up here you have some dry ones. These are all rotted. You see a small one in here. But all these, they are gungo trees. This piece of rock you're looking at here, we call this flat rock. So all of here, where you see this grass, this is bakiri grass. You have a lot of flat rock beneath here. Sometime when the rain fall, even like 2 or 3 days after, you come here and you still see water running on those rocks. This is a naseberry tree here. You have a lot of fruits on it, but they're all green, not ready for eating. Let me see if I can get off one to show you what it's like. So this is it. You can see the stain coming from it there. That stain, when it gets dry, you can almost treat it like a bubble gum. On this side here, I'm seeing some banana trees. This kind of banana is what we call bumpy bananas. This big tree here is an almond tree. In front of me here, this is a cassava plant. I'm not sure if this is a bitter or sweet cassava. My grandmother was very famous for baking bammies. She would bake a lot of bammies by the dozen and take them to Ali Market and Rocky Point in Clarendon, where she would sell them mostly to Miss Mavis restaurant in Rocky Point. This here is a guava tree. This is a lime tree here. I'm only seeing one on it. This is another guava tree. And beside it here is a pimento tree. This pear tree here is what we call an agricultural pear tree. I'm not sure what the correct name for it is. This land here is 5 acres in total. At current, it is in the process of being sold to the alumina company, but As I say, I'm not sure exactly what they will do with it, but as I said, it is in the process of being sold. Over here, this tree is an ackee tree, and as most of us know, ackee and saltfish is Jamaican national dish, and this is a national fruit. So this is the ackee here. Inside here, this red thing, you have to take it out before you prepare the ackee for eating, because this red thing is poisonous. So this is the seed. You'd get rid of the seed, take out the red thing and cook it. Prepare it with whatever you want. Here is a pineapple plant. This place used to be all pineapple, peppermint, gungo peas, cassava, and a whole lot of other fruit trees. Still have a lot of fruit trees now, but not as before. This is another ackee tree. This here is a pit latrine. Back in the olden days, people used to build their pit latrine far away from the house because they didn't think it was sanitary to have the toilet close to the house, much less inside. Here is where the kitchen used to be. It was an outside kitchen. This is where my grandmother would bake the bammies. I remember over the fireside, she would have this mesh. So she would put fish in there, raw fish with salt on it, and they would stay there and get smoke. And sometimes you go in there, you just take out a fish and eat it. It used to be really delicious. This mango tree is where my grandmother used to sit and scrape the cassava for making bammies. So beneath here, you would have a lot of cassava trash and a whole lot of grass squid that are some small birds, which they're small and brown, so they would come here and eat up all of that cassava trash, and would catch some of them and eat those little birds. No, I wouldn't eat any birds. Up there, that is a duck ant's nest. This here is fever grass. This is a really flavorful tea bush. I wish you could smell it. So all of this here is fever grass as well. This is another ackee tree. This here is a soursop tree. Quite a few on it. This mango tree here is where I saw an owl for the first time. I remember I climbed up in there, and when I saw that owl staring in my face, I got out of there so fast. Here's another gooseberry tree. This here is a breadfruit tree. This is a guinea tree, and beside it is a mango tree. This mango tree is about maybe 150, 160 years old. That hole you're seeing in the tree, it used to be for a cassava press. So whenever my grandmother grated the cassava, there used to be a stone platform here. She would put the bag with the grated cassava on top of there, cover it with a piece of zinc or ply, put a big piece of wood in that hole, then she rests it on top of the bag, pack some stones on it to squeeze out the starch from the cassava. That starch, she would also bag it and bring it to the market. People would buy it to use while ironing their clothes. All these here, they are breadfruit trees. And on this side, that is a star apple tree. In Jamaica, when somebody tells you that you're as mean as a star apple, that means you're really mean, because a star apple won't fall off the tree even when it is really dry. This house here, this is where my grandfather used to live long before he was married to my grandmother. This house here was built back in the 1920s. This tree here is a bogo lime tree, or bogo lemon. This tree right here, we call it bitter bush. If you touch that tree and you don't wash your hand before eating something, then everything will taste bitter. So the house here, as you can see, this is red dirt. So this was built from limestone and red dirt. Up here, this is a silver orange or sour orange tree with a mango tree right beside it. So this is what inside look like. And someone was still living here until 2004 when Hurricane Ivan destroyed it. This bush you're looking at here, this is courage. Whatever you do, don't touch it. That thing itch like crazy. This used to be a 2-bedroom, so the other room was right here. You can see here, it was adjoined to this part here. We're looking at this cluster of stones. This used to be the outside kitchen. So I remember when my grandfather was alive, sometime he would roast sweet potatoes and leave them here. So whenever I get home from school, I would come by and get some roast sweet potatoes. I'm seeing some beads over here. We used to use these beads for art and craft. Here they are. So these are hard. You can use them for art and craft. They last like forever. This place used to have a lot of peppermint. I remember my grandmother would cut the peppermint, tie it in a big, what we'd call tie-upper, which would probably be made from flour bag, cloth, and bring it to the market. And then sometimes she wouldn't bring it to the market. She would dry it, shake it off the bush, and sell it. All this here, this is peppermint. A peppermint plant can last up to 30 years, and maybe even more if you care it properly. All this that I'm walking through, it is bakeri grass. Most time people will set fire to this and then the fire will spread further than where they want it, because beneath it's all dry grass. Look at that. So when that fire gets away under here, there's no stopping it. That mango tree there, that is a number 11 mango tree. Real flavorful mango. This here is what we call a barbecue. People will dry on here pimento, red peas, gungo peas, and other things that they have to dry. And this was also made from the same red dirt and lime. This here is another soursop tree. This corner of Sweetland, they call it Shake Hand Corner. because it's the last house in Sweetland. I remember the family used to ask, how did my grandmother and grandfather find this piece of land in the entire Jamaica? This is another gooseberry tree. This is a family plot. I think there are tombs here which are close to 200 years old. This here is my grandfather's tomb, William Walker. This here is another bogo lime tree. I'm seeing one on it. Here it is. So when you use this with brown sugar, it gives you a really flavorful drink. There's a ripe one on the ground here. Let me get this. So this is a ripe one. I think this house was built probably in the late 60s. I believe so. These two small blocks you're looking at here, this one and this one. I remember the one on my left here. If I came home from school and saw a green bush on there, that meant my grandmother was at Perrins. If I came home and saw stones on this one, that means she would be in Bosso. So we didn't have phones then, so she would find ways of leaving little messages for me. And this veranda here, I remember in the corners you would have sorrel or hot peppers or gungo peas. Would sit and shell them and get them ready to take to the market. The house is still a pretty good house. It's just that they abandoned it because, as I said, the land is in the process of being sold. So they stripped the roof and the windows. This used to be my grandmother's room. And this was my room. And this here was the living room. As I showed you outside, the bathroom and the kitchen was outside, so we didn't have that inside. This here is a back step. It's about maybe 4.5 feet high from the ground. I've never known a step to be there, but I remember when I was younger, I would sit there and have my dinner with my legs dangling. I would sit there and listen to the birds singing in the bush. I have a myriad of memories flooding back to me just being here. So this is it, my birthplace in Sweetland, South Manchester. As always, I hope you have enjoyed watching. Thanks again and see you soon.